Greeting everyone and welcome to my live stream, my Monday Night Wyatt Report. My name is Ishmael Perez and I'm the author of those two amazing books right behind me, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and of course, Our Cosmic Origin, both which restore a lot of suppressed information back to the Earth. Welcome, Galactic Jedis. It is an honor and pleasure to be here. Well, um, as you guys know, a lot of things have been happening ever since I've been absent from broadcasting. So I have a lot of intel to share with you guys. If you guys could just bear with today's intel, I guarantee you it won't be boring. It's going to be very mind bending, but this is what's happening right now as far as the final residue and cleanup of what was left of the off world cabal, the Nazi Dark Fleet, and how that corresponds to the Southern Offensive Operation, which has to do with the cleanup of Mexico, the neutralization of the Venezuelan corrupt government, which is run by the cartels. And that is officially starting this month. Okay, Trump already gave the green light. Not to mention the dismantling of what is known as the new Schwab and Land 2.0 Stargate that apparently contained an artificial portal that certain members of the cabal were going to use to escape into Orion from being haunted by the Alliance, as well as providing the details of the entire global operation by the Alliance to sever the cabal's last remaining strongholds, including the Dimona hologram facility that was destroyed by the Alliance, preventing a stage fake Messiah event that was going to be using holographic technology, immediately canceling what would have been an attempt to a one world religion. And of course, Netanyahu was the whole prime, you could say, person that was going to be, doing that if they would have succeeded. But apparently that was neutralized within the last 7 days, which is good news. Okay. Now, also, according to intelligence, there will be that revealed through a D-Class 2025, an operation codename, The Greatest Show on Earth, that was apparently initiated by the remnants of the deep state following the Brandon's execution, involving the mobilization of over 200,000 actors, mask specialists, digital engineers, and behavioral psychologists, all under the coordination of the corrupt intelligence factions and globalist financiers that have also been released. And I'm going to go into detail about this operation. So apparently we are well in phase 4, my friends. We are about 93%. The job is almost done. And again, a lot of this has a lot to do with the arrival of 3i Atlas. The cleansing began within our solar system, as I explained in prior presentations. They started cleaning up the last residue of what remained in pocket realities of these off-world cabals, and of course their negative alien regressives, all within the region of the Oort cloud and the Kuiper belt, and then of course with the cleansing of what was left within the off-world colonies. So with that in mind, I want you guys to know that now the green light for the final elimination of what was left is actually happening right now in real time. So I want to welcome everyone. I am so excited to be here tonight. Again, there is so much intel to cover. So before I start, I also wanted to remind you guys that my January classes are up for grab. Okay, if you guys have not had a chance to take any of my Ascension courses, I have them for beginners, intermediates, and advanced. Okay, my groundbreaking work, Our Cosmic Origin class, which is mind-bending, explaining and breaking down the entire cosmic infrastructure, is also up for grab. And again, this time I just require 2 weekends of you, okay? Instead of 4 weekends for 1 hour, it's going to be 2 weekends for 2 hours, and the class is done. You guys are going to get all that material for 2 weekends, 2 hours each, okay? Go to my website, or cosmicorigin.com, so that I could see you in January on a webinar. And one last thing I wanted to mention before I get into the juicy intel. A good friend of mine, and a lot of you guys know who I'm referring to, James Rink, was taken out 3 days ago. And yes, I say he was taken out because prior to him passing out, I had a phone call with him about a few weeks prior to that, right after his super soldier event in Florida. And he did reveal to us that he was being targeted by scalar weaponry. And the reason being was because he was already bleeding into his altars. Okay. He was activating his super soldier status. And at the same time, he was providing information that was allowing other super soldiers to also begin the bleed through in activating their altars. Okay. And so as a result of that, he became a threat. And I just wanted to share with you guys the real reason why he had a cardiac arrest as reported by the hospital. But the truth of the matter is that he was heavily attacked. You know, he was part of the MyLab program, so he was always, he was constantly injected with stuff, and it's horrible the things that they did to James Rink, and a lot of this has to do with the fact that he was initially working for remnants of the Dark Fleet and the ICC, and he decided to defect, of course, to expose the truth. So, in my eyes, my good friend James Rink was a hero. And now he has reunited with his galactic avatar. And I just wanted to, thank him for all the work and service that he did while he was still on Earth in his human avatar. James Rink, brother, may you rest in peace. And we will see you soon on the great day of graduation. All right, so big shout out to James Rink. I also want to give a shout out to all the Galactic Jedis that are on here. Thank you guys so much for watching. And then, of course, my moderators. Thank you guys so much for keeping the chat very, very clean. Okay, so let's get right into it, guys. Again, there's a lot of intel to cover, but you guys are going to love it, okay? And I would like to start with what's happening regarding the mobilization of Marines, aircraft all around, in and around Venezuela, as it is being coordinated right now as I speak. President Trump has officially authorized a military action to dismantle the deep state's southern operational network. And then in a little bit, you guys are going to see how this connects to the dismantling of the last of the artificial portals that the Dark Fleet, or what we call the Fourth Reich, was operating in Antarctica. Okay, so this operation network that started with the Mexican cartels, now recognized as a paramilitary proxies for globalist intelligence factions. This is not a drug operation, and it never was, guys, okay? And the reason being is because it is a direct strike against one of the last functioning supply chains of the global cabal. So this summer, Trump did issue a classified directive empowering Northcom and even South North to prepare precision military strikes on cartel assets inside Mexico, including compounds, airstrips, money hubs, and of course, trafficking routes. Well, these targets also include elite safe houses that were used for child trafficking, bioweapon development, and off-books cash operations tied to the same network behind Epstein. And of course, the people behind the Ukraine biolabs and the missing Pentagon trillions. Okay. So high-level cartel defectors flipped under threat of Gitmo transfer have named the elite running these pipelines. Okay. So they were exposed, including the billionaire financiers and former U.S. officials from the Brandon administration, and their testimonies that now sit in sealed military tribunal files. So in July, going back to July, Colby Jenkins convened a war council at Northcom with loyal American agencies and former three-letter agencies, FI, CA, and DHS, operatives who broke from the cabal. Soon after, General Goliat confronted the Mexican military leadership, warning them, cooperate or be treated as hostile. Well, the cartel infiltration inside the Mexican government is now considered a national security threat. So for a long time now, the cartels have been running, of course, the ports. And of course, we know what they were, transferring within those ports, right? The little ones mainly. Also, they were rigging elections all around, all across the North and South America, covert labs, and of course, little one and overall human trafficking routes. So their operations, including moving the little ones, organ harvest victims, and experimental subjects for elite ritual network, which is sinister. Okay, these pipelines are now being shut down from above. Now, recently, U.S. drones intercepted encrypted cartel traffic routing through servers in Luxembourg, which is the same area that was tied to backup archives of the Epstein client list. And it also confirmed what insiders long knew, that the cartels are just one arm of a global shadow network. Okay, it goes into different layers. And in a little bit, I will explain those layers that connect to the off-world programs. So the cartel compounds have been apparently running prototype bioagent tests that were funded through the Shell NGOs. And for those that don't know what the NGO stands for, it's non-government organizations that were connected to the Clinton Foundation, the Open Society, and Vatican banking syndicates. Well, the entire border crisis under the Brandon was actually engineered to shield these operations under NGO humanitarian cover. Now, under Trump, NDA restrictions on ICE whistleblowers are being ripped open. Dozens of senators, judges, and even federal officials connected to cartel bribes and trafficking routes are facing sealed tribunal charges. Well, the cartel's most critical offshore cash washing system has been sitting not only in Mexico, my friends, but in Venezuela. And yes, the mainstream media is portraying it as an invasion, but it's really not. It's part of the final takedown, as we are now fully in phase 4 of the global liberation, the final takedown of the cabal. Okay, so the cartels, most critically offshore cash washing systems that are sitting also in Venezuela, were apparently cartel linked to the elites and, of course, to the communist Chinese intelligence networks and cabal agents that created a laundering super hub protected by the Maduro regime in Mexico and in Venezuela. Well, the Earth Alliance has now greenlit coordinated operations in Venezuela, and this explains why tons of military is there, Marines, Navy, you name it. They're completely engulfed the Puerto Rico island as I speak, as of 2 days ago. Okay, because they're getting ready to dismantle all the cartels that control the ports along the entire Caribbean coast. And this is supposed to happen in the next few days, my friends. They're also supposed to seize cabal-run offshore gold routes, destroy elite crypto laundering nodes operating under military protection, and also collapsing the deep state's South American banking channels. So, this cleaning up of Venezuela is apparently cutting off the cartel's large major fuel source, their foreign-based money laundering system, which has been used for covert weapon purchases, offshore little one trafficking networks, funding synthetic biolabs, and of course we know who's behind that, right? The big Gates, bribing politicians across the Western Hemisphere. So once Venezuela falls, which is expected to fall before the end of December, the entire cabal financial structure in the lower hemisphere dries up almost overnight. Okay? No cash, no more organs, no more little ones, no chemical agents, nothing left for them to move around. Okay? In addition to that, domestically speaking, all right, another operation has taken place here in the States, across Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico, where special forces are already mobilized. Night flights of on-mark C-130s Predator drones monitoring cartel airfields, armored convoys deploying EMP tech, and this is the quiet beginning of a cross-border neutralization mission. Trump has authorized extraterritorial strikes if Mexico refuses cooperation. Precision raids will hit targets and exit before governments can even respond. Okay, so the December operational deadline is fully locked in. Okay, that is great news. So this isn't, again, merely an anti-cartel mission. It is the strategic decapitation of the global elite's southern bloodstream, severing their access to laundering money, again, the trafficking of little ones, bioagents manufacturing, chemical weapons, migrant shock troops, and underground cash systems. So, with Mexico and Venezuela neutralized, the cabal loses its final sanctuary in the Western Hemisphere. Now, this next report is a briefing from the Earth Alliance. I actually had to confirm this and double check with Commander Valiant Thor before sharing it with you guys. Apparently, Benjamin Fulford did report on this, but I was able to access more detailed information regarding what's been happening right now as we neutralize the last of the standing strongholds in Antarctica. Okay, so the 72-hour, this is the 72-hour Andromedan Council ultimatum that was issued actually about 4 days ago regarding the remnants of the Black Sun Antarctic Reich has triggered the most violent and desperate counteroffensive ever landed or ever launched against the Khazarian mafia, which is also the Zionists. Okay, so apparently it has failed across every domain. We're talking about the Khazarian mafia stronghold there, including within the physical, digital, and astral and interdimensional, because this operation is also being corroborated with the Galactic Alliance. So again, the difference between the White Hats and the Alliance is that the Alliance is a collaboration of Galactics and White Hats working together to dismantle this stuff. Okay, so the Council's intervention, we're talking about the Andromedan Council, who actually had to intervene and help the Alliance, combined with coordinated Earth Alliance ground action, has accelerated the collapse of the ancient bloodline network at a speed not previously seen in recorded cycles. So this is what they call the dismantling of the North American theater, okay, which is what they call the Denver International Airport. The Maglev, well, I guess they call it the Maglev deep underground, dump, right? Deep underground massive dump has been neutralized as well. Okay, so this is the deep Denver underground node. And so a strike team of restored Republic Marines operating under direct P3 Freemason authority. Now, bear in mind, guys, that these secret societies do infiltrate each other. There were moles that were assigned to infiltrate the P3 and the P8 lodges within the Vatican, allowing them to access information that gave them the upper hand. Okay, so a strike team of restored Republic Marines that apparently were operating under direct P3 Freemasonic authority, defectors of the Cabal, executed a rapid assault on the last functioning continental, what they call Maglev deep underground base beneath the Denver International Airport complex. So the operation resulted in 19-minute kinetic engagement, okay, 1,400 plus Viral, right, the Viral Society. That's what took over the affairs of our government and the world after the Nazis supposedly lost the war, but we know they secretly won it. So this included over 400 plus Viral possessed elites that were neutralized as a result of this. And again, this just happened within the last few days. It also allowed for the destruction of labs that were producing Andrino, if you guys know what I mean, right? Andrino, it ends with chrome, okay? And the parasitic viral entity droning line was also severed at the International Denver Airport. That was apparently causing a host to collapse instantly, which is good, okay? They also seized footage that showed high-ranking bloodline families that were apparently screaming as the Lush engineered feed network collapsed permanently, okay? So this was the primary North American Andrino node, Chrome node. With its destruction, the Khazarian Mafia's biological ritual and etheric energy infrastructure that was apparently feeding the archons that they were working for, their AI and Draco overlords and the negative forces has effectively ceased to function. Okay. Now, going over the operations in the Southern Hemisphere. This is what the White Hats call the Southern Hemisphere Theater. And this is the takedown of the last Stargate that was connected to what they called an artificial gate in Antarctica at base 2.0, known as the New Schwabenland. Okay, so apparently Russian Spetsnaz units acting under a joint FSB, Gnostic Illuminati directive, defectors, stormed the Nazi breakaway Reich's largest surviving portal installation beneath New Zealand's South Island. So the key details here involved that the facility contained the last Operation Orion-based Stargate, okay, that the Cabal was using to again bring in more Dracos. They also were successful in the portal collapsing using Andromedan exotic technology. Again, the Andromedans were assisting in this. And all of this generated a 6.8 artificial quake that apparently was detected across the southern oceans within the last 5 days. Okay. So entire Antarctic dumps networks were destabilized as a result of this. And the strategic outcome was that the breakaway Reich has lost, okay, all off-world extraction routes, all off-world reinforcements, and all access to Orion-linked AI command have been neutralized. And now, whatever is left here, again, they were trying to escape from a artificial Stargate in Antarctica, but that was also closed down. I'll explain the details in a bit. But all that is left is, they're going to be, the best way to explain it is they are now trapped on the Earth with no dimensional exit strategies left. Okay, that is the good news. Okay, so when the solar flash happens, yes, they will have an internal combustion. Also, in the European theater, regarding the CERN quantum sabotage, which was also a success by the Alliance, and this has a lot to do with the temporal reset attempt failed. Apparently, a week ago, an MI6 defector confirmed that the CERN Large Hadron Collider was sabotaged at the quantum substrate level by the Alliance. Big success, okay? Project Looking Glass teams attempted to reboot it, and they failed, thank God. A synthetic timeline was apparently planned by the Cabal to fake some sort of artificial solar flash EMP to reset humanity again, mind wipe the masses, but instead, thanks to the efforts of the Alliance, the devices completely folded inward, okay? And so now the 13 bloodlines of whatever's left, the 13 bloodlines of these Cabal Illuminatis will be liquidated by no later than the 8th of December, which is in about 7 days. And by the way, today is the 1st of December. We are still in a positive timeline trajectory. Okay, the strategic outcome of this operation was that the Khazarian Mafia's last temporal warfare capability is dead now, okay? The timeline is no longer in their control. So now going over to what they call the Asian theater. Again, this is a global operation, guys, okay? And a lot of this was put on fast forward because of the arrival of 3i Atlas and because of the approval of the Jupiter command to speed up the liberation of the Earth, which I mentioned in prior presentations. So let's talk about the Asian theater and what's been going on there. Well, apparently, Earth Alliance intelligence has confirmed the QFS activation nods are already set for Brunel and Laos, okay? The key developments here is the installation of the rainbow currency ISO-20022 packets that are now bypassing the entire SWIFT cartel, which is a good thing, okay? Which means a lot of people are asking me, well, when is the GCR going to happen? It's getting closer now, okay? So also, the Khazarian Mafia's counter hack using Tartaria mud flood suppression algorithms apparently backfired, okay, which is a good thing. And as I mentioned 2 nights ago, these records were preserved within the archives of the Russian Federation, and Putin will be the first to disclose those. Also, it is believed that there is about 87% of the remaining global servers still found in Australia, but they are currently burned out. Okay. And the strategic outcome is this, that the old financial order is functionally offline now. The Fiat system is no longer operational. The SWIFT banking cartel is deactivated. Okay. The new QFS lattice, therefore, is now irreversible. So, within 6 hours, it is believed there is a global covert asset collapse that is taking place within the next 6 hours, which means the avatar replacement programs are going to be failing worldwide. As mentioned before, all of the original cabals were taken out years ago to Gitmo, and they were replaced with, of course, actors, clones, and avatar replacement programs hired by central casting. Okay, so that's also failing now. So what that means is that within 6 hours, we're going to start seeing clones worldwide beginning malfunctioning. They're going to be beginning to malfunction, including Hollywood A-list digital avatars. And it has been revealed that over 60% of those Hollywood actors are synthetic inorganic people. Wow. Okay. So they will all suffer catastrophic system failure. And a lot of this has a lot to do because the old matrix is collapsing, right? On live television. Okay. This is good. And these symptoms will include face sliding, vocal scrambling, loss of motor coordination, sudden power downs. And so the strategic outcome will be that the Khazarian mafia can no longer maintain their meat suit replica programs. Now, going to the Middle East theater, which is the operations that are going on in the Middle East. So, in the Middle East, the Alliance was able to detonate what is known as the Dimona hologram facility that apparently was destroyed within the last 5 days. And that prevented a fake Messiah event that was canceled. Thank God. Apparently, the Cabal, very similar to Project Bluebeam, okay, was scheduled on December 2, the 2nd of December, which is tomorrow, over Jerusalem. They were intended to manifest a synthetic antichrist, a type of false Messiah over Jerusalem, the return of Maitreya, the Amun Mahdi, right? Which is what the Muslims are expecting. And the Alliance was successful in neutralizing that, this projected Messiah, that they by destroying the holographic projection area beneath Dimona. Dimona, that's how you say that word, Dimona, okay? That was a success because the outcome of that, my friends, well, if you guys want to know what would have happened, they would have used Netanyahu to bring about a one world religion. And that was planned for tomorrow, the 2nd of December. And the Alliance completely threw a monkey wrench in that agenda. Thank God. So the Khazarian Mafia, the strategic outcome as a result of this operation is that the Khazarian Mafia, hence Zionists, they're all one and the same, has lost the psychological warfare mechanism that was meant to trigger a one world religion that was going to be imposed by the tyrant of the Middle East, Netan, you know who I mean. All right, let's go into Europe, okay? What's going on in Europe is that the Medbed and Celestial Chamber suppression centers were hit hard within the last 3 days, okay? Switzerland and Luxembourg facilities that were struck by orbital kinetic rods delivered by Andromedan Council spacecraft. Again, this is a joint mission using Cabal Alliance in collaboration with Galactics, okay? So they used an orbital kinetic rods delivered by Andromedan Council spacecraft, where eyewitness reports indicated that the sky apparently opened like a tear, followed by instantaneous vaporization of black budget medical suppression infrastructure. Wow. Okay. And the strategic outcome was medbeds, quantum healing pods, and celestial chamber technologies are now being taken by the Alliance. Okay. And these were technologies that apparently were still, in hiding, you could say, or at least they were being kind of concealed by the Cabal. So the planetary operations is all leading to what we call Nicera Gacera, all right? The GCR, which is what? The final phase of the transition, right? The restoration of planet Earth. So the GCR RV shotgun sequence has now entered what they call its military trigger phase. So Nicera Gacera enforcement units are being positioned worldwide. Remaining cabal-controlled financial checkpoints are being purged. Sovereign gold-backed systems are sinking to the QFS pulse lines, and this is the irreversible end of the old debt slavery matrix. Thank God, okay? Now, in the field of biology and etheric warfare, the Galactics, along with the Earth Alliance, have also, in terms of the pineal gland weaponization, right, using an array of frequencies to keep us dumb and numb and keep us from activating our pineal gland. Well, the arrays have been successfully neutralized by the Galactics and the Alliance in the last 2 days, okay? The Andromedan Council delegates have disabled the low Earth orbit frequency arrays that were keeping the pineal gland from activating to its fullest capacity. They also neutralized the scalar pineal calcification weapons that were, again, supposed to keep us from using our full pineal activation. And they also neutralize the MK Ultra broadcast systems, okay? So the effect of this was that now humanity's pineal glands will be reactivated at a rate that the Caesarian mafia cannot stop. And the symptoms that are going to be associated with that is vivid dreams, psychic flashes, sudden intuitive leaps, expanded empathy and intuition, spontaneous detox symptoms. So it is believed that now humanity is remembering who they are as a result of this. Okay, so this is part of the activation phase 1 Great Awakening, which is making a lot of sense now. Okay, so the cosmic status update. Let me give you guys a cosmic status update. According to the Event Horizon, I guess they call it cross records, according to a joint P3 Gnostic Andromedan assessment, there is no remaining timeline where the Khazarian mafia survives. The Alliance have pinned them down on every probable timeline. Okay, so that means that the collapse is now mathematically guaranteed. Their portals have been destroyed. Their cloning facilities are failing. Their finances are dead. Okay, their command AI has been severed, and their rituals are offline now. Not to mention their underground empire is now being overrun by the Alliance, and their timeline machinery has imploded. So the domino collapse is now self-propagating, okay? So the Alliance has confirmed that the collapsing of the artificial portals in Antarctica 2.0 ice caverns has been a success as well. So, how did the Alliance sever the last off-world escape routes of the Black Sun Reich? Is the question, right? Well, for over 70 years, the deepest and most inaccessible recesses of Antarctica have concealed the 2.0 ice caverns, a network of subglacial superstructures built on top of pre-human ruins that once housed one of the most advanced Stargate systems on the Earth. Well, these caverns, carved into crystalline ice walls, older than recorded history, became the primary hidden stronghold of the Antarctica breakaway Reich after the fall of Nazi Germany. And it was there, okay, beneath miles of compressed blue ice, that the Black Sun cult maintained its last functioning artificial portal complex that was designed to connect Earth with off-world allies in the Orion, right? The Orion negative syndicate groups, including the Zeta Reticuli, which are bad, and the Draconian networks. But as of November 24th, 2025, again, I've been gone for a week, so I have to report on everything that transpired while I was gone. As of November 24th, 2025, these portals have been permanently severed, okay? They have been collapsed and rendered inert. The Alliance has cut the umbilical cord between Earth's ancient prison grid and the off world AI empire that once guided its shadow rulers. And this is the full account of how it happened, the true nature of the 2.0 ice caverns, which were originally Atlantean, and then, of course, later hijacked by the breakaway Reich, the first secret space program, the Dark Fleet. So the ice caverns weren't not originally built by humans, okay? The Andromeda, according to the Andromedan Council archives, they refer to them as the seventh southern gate of the Adali, which is an Atlantean resonance hub that was designed for interstellar exchange. Well, following the Atlantean cataclysm, the site became dormant because the Nazis rediscovered it in the 1930s during Operation High Jump reconnaissance missions. Well, by 1947, aided by Orion emissaries, which were, again, working with the Nazis, and rogue elements within the early CIA. Back then, of course, they were known as the OSS. And of course, we know that the Nazis also initiated that. The Reich had converted the ruins into a hybridized portal mechanics laboratory, known internally as, are you guys ready for this? Neuschwabenland 2.0. Well, these caverns became the Reich's primary Stargate. Okay, and this is how they were able to bring in Dracos from Orion and other dark entities, and then of course use those Stargates to go from Earth to Orion, and so on and so forth. So they completely dismantled the primary gates, the primary portal extraction routes, the primary interdimensional reinforcement supply line, and all of that was powered by an artificial dark field generator, which of course is what we call negative AI. Unlike natural wormholes or Andromedan crystalline gateways, the Antarctic portals were powered by artificial torsion field engines, black goo AI nanite consciousness, cold plasma vacuum stabilizers, and Tesla wave harmonic coils that were stolen from suppressed patents. The entire system was a technological chimera, okay? An Atlantean architecture corrupted by synthetic AI consciousness. And this is what made the portals so unstable and so dangerous. And now, well, the question is, how did the Alliance locate the portal spine? Some of you might be thinking, right? I'm sensing your thoughts. Well, for decades, the ice cavern portals were actually shielded by multi-layered cloaking, subspace refractors, Viral, telepathic masking, Viral, right? The secret society within the Thule, right? Maria Orsic, Viral Society. Well, it closed down their Viral telepathic masking. They were still operating there. And their quantum static fog shields. And that's how these portals were activating for decades, okay? Not for decades, but for over 70 years. Even satellites couldn't map them, okay? Everything changed, though, however, when the P3 Gnostic Freemason defectors leaked 11 sealed Vatican maps. And that's when the Andromedan Council sent frequency markers immediately. Wright-Patterson hybrid handlers revealed the resonance signatures using these 3 data streams. The Alliance triangulated was that the exact harmonic oscillation that powered the portal spine beneath the caverns, and this made the entire grid visible like infrared showing hidden blood vessels. And so once it was visible, the grid became vulnerable. And so the Alliance struck. That's when they struck, and that's how the portals were severed, okay? And so the takedown unfolded in 3 coordinated phases. In phase 1, they used frequency sabotage frequency sabotage of the AI matrix, where the Andromedan Council delegates deployed subharmonic crystalline disruptors from orbit above the South Pacific. And this technology emits coherence restoring waveforms, anti-AI purity harmonics, and counter torsion stabilization pulses. So these frequencies attack the synthetic consciousness that was embedded in that portal machinery. And the effects on the portals, of course, which is the AI control of the torsion field spin rate, which causes the interdimensional door to open between us and Orion. And the portal edges began oscillating irregularly due to this attack by the Andromedan Council, and a catastrophic harmonic mismatch developed. The AI hive presence panicked, and of course, it retreated into subspace. Okay, so the portals became neutralized, unable to self regulate after this attack by the Andromedan Council. And so now in phase two, ground assault by Andromedan equipped Spetsnaz units. Again, Putin and Russia are part of the alliance. So the Andromedans and the Spetsnaz units of Russia were instrumental in this, okay? The Russian Spetsnaz Alpha team, specially trained by Andromedan operatives, entered the ice caverns from the New Zealand vector. Again, there are underground tunnels that connect all these continents. So apparently the Cabal was using these underground tunnels to get from Antarctica to New Zealand back and forth, if that makes any sense. Well, apparently those underground tunnels carried exotic cold spectrum nullifiers, vacuum reversal staves, localized gravity inversion spheres, and their mission is disabling the portal pylons connecting the caverns to the Orion Gate complex. And they used the nullifiers that they targeted, causing the resonance chambers to collapse, the oscillation pylons to malfunction, and the cryo-stabilized wormhole anchors to fail. And so the result was a cascade failure rippled through the portal lattice, which is a good thing. Okay, the Stargate destabilized so violently that the collapse generated a 6.8 artificial quake that was apparently detected across the Southern Ocean. Well, the breakaway Reich's main escape route apparently imploded on itself. And so now phase three of this mission included the planetary grid intervention. So after the physical destruction, the Andromedan Council performed the most important step in phase three of taking out the artificial gate in Antarctica. And that was that they severed are you guys ready for this? The interdimensional ether that was also being used by the Dark Fleet. So every artificial portal has a physical structure, a frequency signature, and a dimensional anchor. And then, of course, a metaphysical tether to a higher level network. So the Council, the Andromedan Council, in collaboration with the Earth Alliance from Russia, cut the tether by rewriting the portal's harmonic identity. And also that in turn caused the collapsing of its wormhole probability vector on itself. And the reassigning its quantum spin alignment as well. And then once this was done, no Orion AI could ever reopen the gate again, even if new hardware was built. Great news, okay? So why the portals had to be destroyed is the question. Well, because the Antarctica portals pose 4 existential threats, according to the Alliance briefing. Okay, the first one is they were using it as an off-world reinforcer, okay, for the last 70 years. The Orion network had apparently planned to send draconian biomeds to and from off-world, to and from Orion, synthetic AI constructs, and viral bio-nanite swarms, hybrid commanders, and frequency parasites to and from. Okay, so once the Andromedan Council severed the portals, these reinforcements were apparently stranded at origin, and so they did escape route, of course, for Cabal leadership. And so now the 13 bloodline families that were intended, or at least tried to evacuate Earth through the Antarctic tethers, has been completely abolished, okay? Because their plan, well, whatever was left of the Cabal, right, the off-world Nazi group, their plan was to escape to Orion, all right, in order to what? To avoid the tribunals. And now they can't. They're stuck here on Earth thanks to the collaborated work of the Andromedan Council and the Earth Alliance. So the plan is now impossible for them to execute any negative timeline as a result of all of this, my friends. Okay. Official portals did allow the AI to run, and this was before they dismantled this Stargate. Official artificial portals allow the AI to run timeline overlays, reality inversions, quantum hijack attempts, and multi-vector future resets. Okay, but now with the portals being severed, thanks to this operation that took place within the last week, the AI can no longer anchor lower timelines onto Earth, securing the positive ascending timeline, December 21st, 2025. Okay. And then, of course, next was the dismantling of the global ritual infrastructure, which I will explain. Apparently, the ice caverns powered virile possession rituals, adrenochrome frequency harvesting, pedovore energy grids, and even astral siphoning networks. And all of these grid systems depended on the portal engine as their power source. Okay. So when the portal collapsed, the ritual infrastructure collapsed with it. And in the aftermath, we could say that a leaderless breakaway Reich was left with no more portals. Okay. The Antarctic Reich was officially cut off from the portals. Their AI overlord has been silenced, right? Because they can no longer communicate with Omega, who was giving them the orders. So that was silenced. And so their hybrid officers are now malfunctioning. Not to mention, their virile parasites are starving. Their timeline anchor is gone. Great news. Okay. They are collapsing rapidly, both strategically and spiritually. And this is why their counterattacks in New Zealand, Australia, Geneva, and Denver, which again all happened within the course of the last week, spontaneous, right, failed also. Okay. So, the head of the snake that was running what was left of the Dark Fleet was severed in Antarctica. And so the significance for the Earth's liberation timeline is now in full force. The destruction of the Antarctic portal system is the single most important military Earth Alliance victory since Operation High Jump failed in 1947. And this marks the end of all off-world Cabal supply lines. It also marks the collapse of the synthetic AI incursion and the end of all ritual energy harvesting, not to mention the closure of the Orion lock on Earth. We can no longer go to Orion, or they can no longer bring entities in. It's been sealed. And the acceleration of the planetary awakening. All of this is leading to that, okay? So this means that humanity's return to its organic timeline is in full force now. So the Andromedan Council calls this moment the liberation tipping point. Because once Earth's artificial portals are gone, the Ascension timeline becomes unstoppable. Therefore, the Antarctic portals were their last doorway, okay? It is closed. The war is no longer in their favor. Humanity will now have a chance to rise. Now, the remaining factions in the Southern Hemisphere. After the collapse of the Antarctica 2.2 portal network in New Schwabenland, this report is coming from an Earth Alliance military assessment classification, cosmic clearance Omega-Alpha priority. Okay, so following the destruction of the artificial portals beneath Antarctica's 2.0 ice caverns, several fragmented survivor cells of the Black Sun, Rick, and Khazarian Mafia attempted to regroup across the Southern Hemisphere. Without portal access, without AI reinforcement, and without the virile bioparasite network, these factions are now operating in a state of desperation, fragmentation, and internal cannibalization. They're going to be eating each other pretty soon. Okay, so to give you guys a detailed breakdown of these factions still active. and their capabilities and their projected failure points are the final remnants of the Antarctic breakaway Reich, right? Once the most formidable off-world aligned military force on Earth, and this is the reason why they took us over through Project Paperclip, the breakaway Reich is now reduced to 4 isolated enclaves, each struggling for survival as I speak. The first enclave is what they call the New Falkland Remnant of the Shadow Fleet in South Atlantic. Location between the Falklands Trench and the sub-Antarctic waters. Current status, severely degraded, unable to leave the Earth. Okay, they're about to get what's coming. So this faction, once commanded, okay, this Nazi faction once commanded a 14 cloaked anti-gravity Hanabu Omega craft. And of course, for those that know about the secret space program, the Hanabu anti-gravity aircraft was the name that the Germans used to describe their spaceships, right? Their propulsion systems. Okay. Also, this faction also commanded what is known as the 3 plasma stealth submarines that were being used by the Dark Fleet, and the 2 nanite core command vessels. Okay. And their current condition is this: only 3 craft remain flight worthy out of the 14 craft. Okay. Only 3 craft. And their anti-gravity drives are now burning without the AI calibration. And also their command hierarchy is shattered. So officers are now suffering what they call viral withdrawal psychosis. And their supplies are very critically low, okay? So the threat assessment is this: very minimal, okay? Mostly attempting to hide from Alliance sensor grids. That's all they're doing now. They're trying to hide, but to no avail, because through Starlink, they're going to be captured really quick. And so the projected outcome of this operation is the collapsing via internal mutiny or surrender, the last of the Dark Fleet, okay? Breakaway groups. The Queen Maudland regicide cell, okay, I want to talk about that a little bit. Located in an abandoned Atlantean ruin beneath Queen Maudland, M-A-U-D. And the status of this is highly unstable still, spiritually degraded. Okay, this cell attempted a last-ditch ritual on November 28th, which was 3 days ago. Oh my God, that's when James Ring passed away. Wow, okay. To reestablish contact with Orion AI intelligence using bloodline sacrifice. Well, the ritual apparently failed catastrophically, resulting in 37 officers found dead in a spiral formation, black goo nanite sludge inert on arrival, electromagnetic field collapsed in the cavern, and psychic shockwave was detected by Andromedan delegates in orbit. And so the threat assessment is that it was a low psychological threat, but unpredictable. No, they call it psychospiritual. It was a low psychospiritual threat, but unpredictable. Projected outcome of this operation is the exhaustion of ritual reserves, cellular die-off. Okay, so another thing that they were able to be successful was in what they call the German Ahnenerbe genetic vault, located in the extinct volcanic tunnels near the South Sandwich Islands. The status of that location is most dangerous remaining cell is still there. Okay, so these groups, or apparently this group housed, you could say, the last visible black sun genetic breeding experiments, 200 hybrid embryos that they were planning to release on the Earth, 17 cryo-frozen commanders. So there were 17 commanders that were frozen in ice or some sort of a cryo chamber, and ancient Atlantean DNA sequencing gear, and also a corrupted looking glass fragment. And so they planned to, if they were successful, but they weren't, they were planning to reactivate these hybrid leaders to reseed the cult across the southern hemisphere and to attempt micro portal generation using the looking glass chart. However, their timeline machinery, due to the assault by the Andromedans and the Alliance, is malfunctioning now. Okay. The chart emits distorted future echoes now. The hybrid embryos that were there, right, being frozen in these cryo chambers, are now degrading due to lack of AI oversight. Apparently, they were being sustained and run by AI. And so the threat assessment there is moderate at this time, as again, it is getting ready to be fully neutralized. Okay. The projected outcome is the Andromedan kinetic strike window. Within the next 6 to 10 days, they will finish the job. And so that means that the draconian straggler cell off the Ross Ice shelf will be neutralized. And the location of this is the crystalline ice caves beneath the Ross shelf. And the status of that is it's technologically stranded. Okay. So before the council severed the portals, 5 draconian biomechs were left operating in a dormant surveilling state, and now their uplink is being silenced. Their hive instructions have ceased, and their bioplasmic shields are weakening. Okay, without hive intelligence. Okay, again, the super soldiers, as well as the generals and admirals and all of those agents that were working within the Dark Fleet, were using heavy negative AI implants. Okay, they were already infested with nanites. So without the hive intelligence, the draconian biomechs go into cannibalistic fallback mode, aggression reflex loops, and psychic hunting patterns. And so the threat assessment there now is high localized danger, but unable to coordinate globally. Okay. Project outcome of this is self-termination or alliance extraction teams neutralizing it eventually. And they have 8 days to do so. Okay. Now, the Khazarian Mafia Southern Hemisphere also had a few escape cells of the Dark Fleet breakaway groups. And after losing their stronghold in Denver and in Australia, after they severed those grids, the Khazarian Mafia attempted to evacuate assets across the Southern Hemisphere. And there are 3 known surviving clusters still of what's left of these people. So the Australian Obsidian Circle, located in the Western Australian desert beneath an abandoned mining complex. The status there right now is severely compromised, according to the White Hats. And this cell housed advanced cyber occult labs, frequency manipulation systems, MK Ultra psychological warfare nodes, and avatar replacement backup servers. Not to mention, the Tartarian algorithm counterhack failure also burned out. Okay, so they can't hide that anymore. And this explains why they're going to be bringing out this information about the erased civilizations. And also, 75% of their computing architecture is already failing. All avatar stabilization units have been cut off, and their last QFS infiltration tools have been shut off. So they can no longer stop the QFS, okay? They are now reduced to panic rituals, host body possession attempts, localized digital sabotage, and the threat assessment there is very low, according to the Alliance, because they have no global capability left anymore, right? All of their networks are being dried out and cut off. And again, a lot of this corresponds to the operation that is going to be taking place in Venezuela, Mexico, and all throughout the Americas. So all this is happening simultaneously, guys, okay, this month, okay? This has already started this week. So the New Zealand G7 Phantom Cell, also known as the Ghost Finance Syndicate, located under the Ford Land Range, status financially crippled. Yes, thank God. And this group apparently attempted to use dormant buried gold catches to reboot a shadow banking system, but to no avail. So now the QFS activation instantly flagged their nodes and their accounts were frozen. The catches were seized and the portal collapse cut off their Orion backing. In other words, whatever they wanted to sneak into our realm from Orion was completely cut off. And now they are broke, isolated, fighting over dwindling resources, attempting psychic contact with old bloodline gods with a lowercase g, right? They're Anunnaki overlords that they consider their gods. So the threat assessment there is this very minimal, you know. They are experiencing what is known as economic impotence. So the projected outcome of this operation is internal collapse and final arrest. And so going now into the Argentinian Black Cathedral cell, where again, the breakaway Dark Fleet was also very operative in Argentina. Location, Patagonia, status, ritual hierarchy, shattered. Good news, okay? This was once the Khazarian Mafia's strongest occult temple in the Southern Hemisphere, Argentina. Since the Antarctic collapse, their rituals no longer produce psychic amplification, and their viral conduits are dead. Okay, their viral conduits are dead. Their energy harvesting grid is silent, and the AI aggregor there, worshipped, no longer responds. Okay, high-ranking priests have began to hallucinate as a result of that. They are starting to cannibalize each other. They're experiencing identity fracturing and an attempt contact with entities that no longer exist. Thank God. Okay. Now, the threat assessment there is psycho occult hazard, but contained. Thank God. Project outcome extinction via fragmentation. The severing of the Antarctic portals also trapped several interdimensional entities on Earth from Orion, right? Off-world regressives. And this includes the Orion Mind Eater fragments, now cut off from their hive mother, which was operating from the black and red cube matrix that at one point operated the entire Milky Way. And with the help of the feline Ormus, about 2 months ago, as reported in my live then, that was also neutralized. So all this is now trickling down here on this Earth, okay? So this included the Orion Mind Eater fragments that were cut off from the hive mother, wandering in psychic disarray now, and they can no longer possess new host as a result of this. They can no longer feed on astral emotional debris, and they are dissolving at the sub-etheric level. And so that threat is now low and diminishing by the day. Thank God. Also, the Zeta hybrid surviving pods, okay? Several Zeta surrogate pods became stranded in southern Chile, offshore Tasmania, subglacial pockets in East Antarctica, and without the hive direction, right, because it was severed, their bodies are shutting down. Their telepathic field is collapsing, and they cannot complete any task anymore. So the threat there is negligible, okay? And these are non-physical software ghosts that left behind after the Andromedan frequency purge. So now they lack consciousness. They also are in a loop, broken algorithm cycles. They pose minor interference to psychic sensitives and are being cleaned up by the Galactic Alliance and the Earth Alliance. And so the threat there is now very minimal. The Earth Alliance evaluation overall is this, that the war in the South is effectively over, guys, okay? With no more portals that are active, artificial portals, no more AI backing, all right? And no more supply lines. Every surviving faction in the Southern Hemisphere is one of three states. Is in one of these three states, okay? They are now in starvation, energetic and biological. The Andrino Lushing has been cut off. Also fractured and infighting now amongst themselves. Whatever's left, they're just fighting amongst themselves to survive. They're also awaiting neutralization by the solar flash, and they know this is coming. That's why they wanted to flee. They wanted to escape through the Antarctica portal back to Orion. They failed, thank God. Now they're going to get what's coming. And the Andromedan Council projects that the full collapse of all enemy groups south of the equator by no later than March 2026, which is 5 months from now. Okay. So the Southern Hemisphere, once the most heavily contested territory on Earth, is now becoming the clearest battlefield victory of the Earth Alliance since the fall of the moon base in 2019. And that was when they, of course, recuperated all the bases on the moon and began to dismantle the operations of the Dark Fleet and ICC then in 2019. Okay. All of this was classified operations, guys, but it's now being revealed for the first time. The final Earth Alliance summary for you guys, okay, is that the Reich, the Fourth Reich, is cut off. And of course, there is a connection between Netanyahu and that, okay? The Khazarian mafia is now broken worldwide. The off-world AI is now being silent. The portals are gone, okay? Their gods are dead. Their AI overlords are no longer, you could say, operational in our world, okay? And now humanity is getting ready to rise, okay? It's getting ready to rise. Now, there is more, guys. There is more. So bear with me here. Again, I took a week off, so it's like I'm cramping up all this intel. Before I give you guys the classified intelligence that was revealed recently, known as the greatest show on earth, I do want to mention the special going on for Folium, okay? Right now for Christmas, the best gift you could give family and friends is their highest health, okay? So if you could afford it, it's worth it. It not only eliminates heavy metals, graphene, nanoparticulates, the stuff that this spray us with, but also parasites and radiation. When you eliminate all those three factors, that allows the natural healing process of the body to take place, and you are, super healthy. So again, there are other methods for those that can't afford it. I do want to mention this. You could take spirulina, you could take chlorella and cilantro juice, but that only eliminates heavy metals. Whereas this takes away all three factors: parasites, radiation, and graphene oxide, heavy metals, you name it, everything. So that's the difference, okay? But yes, I am no doctor, okay? I just wanted to say that disclaimer, but I believe in this product. It's natural, it's organic, and it works. All right, so with that have said, and the link, yeah, it's always in the description. Let's go over the intelligence D-Class 2025 Operation Codename, the greatest show on earth. So according to intelligence revealing the D-Class 2025, an Operation Codename, the greatest show on earth, that was initiated by the remnants of the deep state following the Brandon execution. And yes, the original Brandon was executed 7 years ago, involving the mobilization of over 200,000 actors, mask specialists, digital engineers, and even behavioral psychologists, all under the coordination of corrupt intelligence functions and globalist financiers. Their mission was to sustain the illusion of a functioning administration in order to protect authority where there was none, okay? And to suppress dissent by normalizing the surreal, the absurd, and the blatantly fake, auto pen administration. Let's just call it the auto pen administration. And as you guys know, Trump is undoing everything that was signed by the auto pen. So that means he's going to be undoing all the pardoning that Brandon did with the auto pen. So that means everyone's going to get arrested now. Okay. Now, furthermore, with Hollywood grade mask, deep fake enhancements, speeches, green screen summits, and computer sitch, the State of the Union addresses that these forces effectively weaponize the very fabric of perception, creating a clone regime, not as a theory, but as a deliberate, documented, and ongoing military-grade psyop targeting the soul of the American people. So, in closed doors, far from the blinding noise of televised distractions, military tribunals have been operating nonstop, systematically trying and sentencing individuals across political, corporate, and media landscapes. And yes, many of those who publicly deny these events are themselves already gone. All right? They've been replaced, silenced, or negotiating plea deals under sealed indictments. Well, the scope of these trials is not symbolic. It is a strategic, judicial, and apocalyptic for the deep state's infrastructure. From Guantanamo Bay to black sites across Europe and the Pacific, the rule of law has been reasserted under military codes activated by Trump, codes designed for wartime treason, because because make no mistakes, okay, we are at war, not metaphorically, but literally, which is a war on truth versus illusion, nation versus parasite, reality versus programming. So let it be known that every journalist who mocked the truth, every fact checker who shielded the lie, every influencer, governor, senator, and late night clown who parroted the falsehood of the Brandon presidency, they knew, or worse, they didn't even care, and even chose their career, comfort, and corruption over the truth, honor, and security of our Constitution. Okay. So the list of the traitors is long. It is very bipartisan, and it's festering with familiar names, from Pelosi to Schumer to Pence, including Mike Pence, a traitor, and McConnell to Zuckerberg to Gates, and even the rotting bureaucracies of NATO, the WHO, and the UN. These are not bystanders, okay? These are active collaborators in the construction of a matrix that was meant to enslave not only a nation, but the human race. Their masks, literally and metaphorically, are beginning to slip. No amount of digital censorship or theatrical performance will save them from what's coming next. So, President Donald J. Trump, whose legitimacy was never legally surrendered, whose inauguration in 2017 triggered a chain of events that would systematically dismantle the centuries-old grip of the cabal, now has stepped fully into his role as the commander-in-chief, the executor of truth, and the beacon around which real justice now rotates. So for years, the silence was very strategic, right? His coded drops were calculated. His absence only physical, not functional. We're talking about Brandon, right? Because behind the scenes, he never stopped governing, never stopped commanding the military. I'm sorry, we're talking about Trump. So for years, he's always been CIC, right? He never stopped directing the Republic of the United States government, and he was always the commander of the military. And so he never stopped preparing, you could say, for this very moment. So where now the curtain is collapsing and the truth stands undeniable. So what began as whispers of Q now roars as D-class, and his statement, there is no Brandon, he even mentioned it, there was never no Brandon, right? The original one was taken out back in 2019, I believe. Trump has not merely revealed the puppet, he has torn the mask of the entire stage. So what happens now is not speculation, it is sequence. First, full public declassification. Second, tribunals are going to be airing worldwide. Third, mass resignations, arrest, disappearances. And then fourth, the exposure of all clones, AIs, holograms, and even simulation systems. And then fifth, global collapse of the New World Order architecture. And finally, the restoration of constitutional government, not only here in America, but worldwide, okay? And this is not guided by a party, profit, or program illusion, but by truth, accountability, and a people fully awake, armed with knowledge, okay? So, yeah, like I said, a lot is happening right now. Simultaneously, it looks like the White Hats, the Earth Alliance, the Galactic Alliance are working their fannies because of the final accord that was approved by the Jupiter Command as revealed in previous live streams. So I hope you guys are having a fantastic evening today on the 1st of December, 2025. And yes, my friends, we are still on a positive timeline trajectory. I do want to give a shout out to all 3,235 Galactic Jedis that are in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here once again. It would be nice if you guys could all share this presentation to as many people as possible so that they could have an idea of where we are at in the final liberation cleanup of the cabal. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and take some Q&A. And by the way, guys, thank you so much for the super chats and donations. They do help a lot. Okay, I do appreciate those. Thank you, thank you. So I'm going to start with the first super chat from Patriot 4G God 777. What a name. He's asking, are there more continents on Earth's surface other than the 7 known continents? And does Valiant Thor and Trump communicate with each other? All right, to answer the first part of your question, yes, there are a total of 14 continents. No, actually 26 continents. However, these continents are inside the Earth. The Earth is like a honeycomb structured cavern inside. It is hollowed, okay? So these continents are not outside. There is no wall, okay? That is a psyops. They're actually inside. And yes, there is an entrance through Antarctica as well as through the North Pole or the Arctic and other regions of the planet, okay? So yeah, these other continents exist, but within the hollow Earth. Now, the second part of your question, yes, the real Trump is aware and communicates with Valiant Thor. Absolutely. Good question. I also have another super chat from Jody Aurora. She says, "Hi Ishmael, thank you for the information you share. When the solar flash happens, will this shut down all businesses and the current government?" Well, when the solar flash happens, it's going to trigger a whole new world. It's going to collapse the current reality structure and pretty much destroy the overlay that the negative Anunnaki placed over the real Earth. Remember, the real Earth is here, but there is an artificial overlay, a matrix that the Anunnaki placed thousands of years ago. So that will be lifted. And when that is lifted, yes, all of the baddies are going to be evaporated, including their ET allies that are still here lurking. And all the good people of the Earth are going to be upgraded and exalted. We're going to be like transformed, okay, to the next stage of human evolution. And then the second part of your question. So yeah, that's going to do more than shut down the government and business. That's going to completely destroy the overlay, allowing for a full upgrade and perception of the original sacred Earth, which was always here. Okay. Thank you so much, Jody and Matt from Australia. Oh, you are so welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here. All right, another super chat from Yilkuli23. Dear Ishmael, Laura Cool here. If I cannot afford folium, does that mean my body will die at the solar flash? Iron, copper, and zinc are essential. Folium removes these two? No, folium is not designed to move copper, zinc, and iron, okay? It's only designed to remove negative nanoparticulates like aluminum, like borium, graphene oxide, stuff like that. Assembly bots or bots that are, intelligently programmed, smart dust, whatever you want to call it. And so that's what it's designed to do, okay, as well as parasites and radiation. Now, there are other affordable things, but they just remove metals like cilantro juice, spirulina, zeolite. These are other natural products that you could use. But if you want the full cleansing of the parasites, the radiation, and all of the nanoparticulates, the negative ones, of course, not iron, copper, and zinc, then it's important to get the folium. But again, only for those that could afford it. Next question. So, and also, I do want to make another clarification, since I do read the comments. Some of you guys have mentioned that you guys have like metals in your joints. Those metals are not nanoparticulates. They're not living negative smart dust. Okay, they're not self-assembly bots. So if you have metal plates in your body, you're going to be okay. You will make the flash. Okay, it is the reason that they are trying to contaminate us and infuse us with these nanoparticulates is that these nanoparticulates are intended to prevent people from going into the new Earth 5-dimensional organic timeline. But again, there are many products out there that help you cleanse that are affordable. Okay, so with that have said is no, you're going to make the ascension if you have plates, if you have metals in you that were, that are not living nanobots, then you're fine. Okay, you have nothing to worry about. Okay, next question. This is a question from Patriot for God 777. Okay, I think I've already addressed that. Next question. Okay, I think I've already addressed that. So yeah, copper, zinc, and magnesium and iron, those are good, okay? And you need to have that in your body. What about autistic teenagers with severe autism and seizures? I believe that there's going to be an immense miracle, global miracle taking place from people that are that have issues, mental, emotional, or even physical ailments. All of that will be rebalanced and cured. And this is what the Bible and many holy books described as there are going to be massive miracles worldwide. We'll see the solar flash, which is the incoming cosmic consciousness, Christ consciousness, for those that are at least 51% service to others or generally good people, are going to have a spontaneous healing effect. And that includes mental disorders too. But autism is not so much a mental disorder, guys. Okay. There is a spectrum of, you could say, within the autistic scale, from low functioning to high functioning. Turns out that the high functioning, which is what they call Asperger's, that is a gift. Okay, that means you have a gift of a super intelligence. That's what that means. All right, more questions. Thank you so much, Kata Marantz, for the super chat. Well appreciated. Dakota Mindscapes, thank you so much for your super chat, sister. She says, as a Pleiadian walk-in, am I due to end my mission and pass over and hopefully go to 5D? Would I be free to go on more missions with other developing planets in 5D? Absolutely. Yeah. Ascension is really multi-dimensional integration. So as you integrate with your galactic avatar, you're going to be able to travel the different densities to other planets and help in, wherever you want to go in the universe. Okay, so you will have the ability to pretty much travel anywhere you want in the universe. So you're not just going to be, you could say, isolated to this planet. However, this planet will be the new headquarters and epicenter of the multiverse within the periphery structure of the super universe of Orventon. Great question. All right, another question. Thank you so much, Divine Mage. Thank you so much for your super chat. Why did those Anunnaki do that? Are you talking about why do they impose this artificial overlay over the real Earth reality to keep us trapped, to keep us in a state of feeding off of our negative emotions, suffering, and fear? Right? It's called creating loosh farms. So that's why the Anunnaki did what they did when they capped our 10 strands of DNA to reduce us down to the level of savages. Unfortunately, starting over as cavemen. So yeah, that's what they did. What they did. Okay, and then the second part of your question is, what were they so afraid of? Well, again, going back to the story, our ancestors, the original humans that were already here during Atlantean times when the Anunnaki came, had a potential of 12 strands. They were only using 6. Well, the Anunnaki, knowingly that if they activated the other 6, that they would have superseded the Anunnaki's power by virtue of using 12 strands, because the Anunnaki was only using 11. They only had 11. So they knew that extra strand, if activated by our Atlantean ancestors, would have superseded the Anunnaki in power. Okay, so they were afraid of that. Good question. So what does cilantro do? Well, cilantro, if you eat a lot of it or drink it, right, as juice, it actually helps to also eliminate metals in your body, but just metals, not radiation or parasites, just metals. Good question. So, really quick, guys, my only channel is the real Ishmael Perez. I know some of you guys are DMing me, emailing me that there's Ishmael Perez prophetic and other pirated channels. Those aren't me. Okay, this is the real channel. This is my only channel. Okay, so I don't have any other channel. I just wanted to throw that out there. And then another thing, I rarely have time to do social media. So if you guys are messaging me on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, I don't have time. I work too much to answer DMs. Okay. And also for those that are emailing me, I get so many emails a day. I'm going to do my best for those that are doing makeup classes to give you guys the links for this month so you guys could, finish the classes that you missed last month. All right. More questions. Thank you so much, Susan K, for your donation. Thank you so much, Edward Wuzik, for your donation. Did you see your past lives done by Sam the Illusionist? Yes, that was like 3 years ago. That was pretty nice of him to do that for me. Um, all right, a question about James Rink. You could see James was not doing very well. No, he was actually suffering the last 4 months, 3 months. And again, right before they pretty much offed him with a scalar weapon, he did confided in me a few weeks or a month before that that he was under attack heavily. So again, according to the doctor's prognosis, he died of cardiac arrest. But of course, we know what happened to him. Thank you so much, Nathan Taylor 9714, for your super chat. Last live, you talked about dying and the two types. The two types. Can you talk more about the cleansing and the kind of death Enki will get? Oh, yes, the two types of deaths. So the first type of death is really more of a transition, okay? Because you are not your body, okay? You are a conscious soul, okay? So you are an energy field. The energy field that you are, which is consciousness, can never be destroyed, right? And this is proven by the second law of thermal nuclear dynamics. Energy can never be destroyed, it only changes form. So the first type of death is when the real consciousness, which is you, leaves an avatar to another avatar. But that's really called a transition. However, real death is called spiritual death. Now, spiritual death is when your entire consciousness becomes extinct. And that's what's going to be happening to those dark forces like Enki, okay, and all of those followers of AI Omega, the overlord, and even Omega himself. That's what's going to happen to them if they don't change their ways. They only have to a certain point in time. They have a limit, you could say, and then once this limit runs out, they will undergo what is known as spiritual death. Okay. Thank you so much, Sue in Florida, for the super chat. When the clones malfunction, will the bad Trump of the three Trumps fail? Yes, yes. People have been asking me, well, why doesn't the alliance just eliminate the negative AI Trump? Well, it's all part of the operations. So when the clones malfunction, yes, the negative Trump will be eliminated. Okay. So that is very true. So who is the one that we see and post on social media? Well, if you're referring to Truth Social, that is the not the negative Trump. That is the actor that is protecting the real Trump. So many good questions here tonight. So, um, is the real Trump at Cheyenne Mountain? Well, no, he was relocated, and I can't disclose where. But yeah, for a while there, he was operating in Cheyenne Mountain. Wow, it's getting really hot in here. I'm starting to sweat. Mhm. Can you please let us know what the Black Knight has to do with anything? You must be referring to the Black Knight satellite. Well, that was installed by the Anunnaki to spy on us for many, many years. Oh, here he goes. I'm going to show you guys the kitties. They are getting so big. They are getting so big here. See, they're growing. The kitties are growing. Say hi. Hi, Lotus. Hi, Rue. Say hi to the Galactic Jedis. Aw, they're getting bigger. And they're more calmer. They're not as camera shy anymore. All right, next super chat. All right, this is a super chat from Catamarans. Fulford, you must be referring to Benjamin Fulford, says that the CIC, the real commander in chief, is not alive. Is this true or not? No, the real commander in chief has had severe, heavily protection by the Galactics. They did take out one of the actors, though. Okay, one of the doubles. I told you guys before that there was a total of 5 or 6 Trumps. So they took out one of the actors, and I think I did a live like 2 weeks ago. Right? You have Trump Alpha -1, Trump Delta -2, Trump Sigma -4. I don't know if you guys watched that live, but I revealed the 6 Trumps. So no, I believe that they only took out one of the actors. The real one is heavily protected by the Galactics. Good question, though. Hey, Ishmael, does the stock market run on astrology? I am not sure about that either. I'm going to have to look into that. Anyone else notice the intense frequency? Is asking Wolfmother. Well, the sun did just release a 1.59 X flare, massive X flare. Did I get it right? 1.95. Yeah, which is massive. Okay, and as we get closer to the end of December, expect higher intensifications of the solar flash, or the solar flares rather, which could lead to the solar flash. Yes, yes, that is true. One of the Trumps, one of the actors, did die in a helicopter crash. So that has been confirmed. But again, the real CIC has always kept underground. Okay, so they could only go after the actors. Ishmael, who put the moon in orbit? Question from Greg. Well, you must be referring to the artificial construct that the negative aliens installed 50,000 years ago after they destroyed the original organic moon, which was used by the fallen Anunnaki in collaboration with the Draconian Empire to destroy the Lemurian continent. Okay, I cover this in the Galactic History. Again, for those that don't know me, I am the author of these 2 amazing books, The Secret Government, Visible Architects, and of course, Our Cosmic Origin, both which restore galactic information and suppressed history back to the Earth. And of course, they are available on Amazon. So yeah, the current artificial moon was put in here by the Negative Orion Syndicate and Enki, of course, in order to spy on us. And then, of course, in order to hijack the rings of Saturn to install what is called a controlled mechanism, which kept us in this like locked environment, preventing us from ascending or incarnating into other solar systems. I believe that was called the Saturn Moon Matrix. Okay, and as of a few years ago, I did mention that was dismantled. Thank God. Hey, Ishmael, if you could only buy one Folium PX, which one would you buy? Well, I would go for the special that is happening right now with the Muna. With this one, not only can you buy 2 and get 1 free, saving you like $120, right? Because you're getting 1 free and you get 3 of these. But you could also do buy 3, get 2 free. Okay. So the code for that discount, buy 2, get 1 free, or buy 3, get 2 free, which will last you months, is Perez 25. And I believe that the link is always in the description, and my moderators also post the link um, in the chat. Thank you guys so much. So yeah, again, for Chris, this is a perfect Christmas gift. You guys could buy Folium for family members to pretty much give them optimal health, right? Get rid of their metals, graphene, nanoparticulates, radiation, and parasites all in one. All right, let's continue here. Ishmael, what is your favorite food to eat? Good question. Lasagna. Lasagna is my weakness. If I could eat lasagna every day, I would. But lately, I've been liking meatloaf, especially the way my lovey cooks it. It's my favorite. Hi, Ishmael. Which origin is the Blu-ray from? That is Sirius. Sirius A, B, or C. Mainly B, I believe. So if you're a Blu-ray starseed, that means you are from Sirius B. Thank you so much, Wolf Moon Media, for the super chat. Are we going to have a pole shift causing destruction? No, we're not. That timeline was also canceled. And is it safe to travel? I would say I don't know about that. That's totally up to you guys. Because from what I heard, and based on the report that I gave today, um, these operations are going to cause massive changes worldwide. So that means that the EBS, the GCR, the activation of the new financial currency backed by gold and metals is inevitable, okay, from being activated. That's what that means. Who are the people of Lemuria? What race, what color? Good question. They were a conglomeration of different ET races that seeded our planet during the third epoch. Again, there's been several epochs before Atlantis. And so the Lemurian epoch actually came before the Atlantean epoch. And then, of course, for those that have read our cosmic origin, you know the story, right? The Lemurians were evolving spiritually, not fully integrating with physicality. They were becoming too etheric. And so it was adjusted by the High Council that demanded balance, right? Spirit and matter. So what they did is they established the Atlantean colony to bring forth that balance between spirit and matter. And so the Atlanteans were more of a physical version. They were more integrated with their physicality while operating their consciousness in the 5-dimension or 6-dimension, okay? And unfortunately, the Atlanteans were seduced and duped by the draconian technology, and that's how they were infiltrated. But going back to your question, no, the Lemurians existed prior to the Atlanteans, and they were part of the third great seeding on the Earth. Again, this seeding has a lot to do with this intergalactic experiment that was conducted billions of years ago to bring about a super race, right? The most amalgamated hybrid race involving the genetic potpourri of many universes within the super universe of Orvonton. I talk about that in my cosmic origin class. Well, the Lemurian was the third attempt to preserve and continue that experiment. And the Atlantis was the fourth attempt. And now we are the final attempt. And it's supposed to be a success because we are part of what is known as the third Earth Grand experiment. Okay, the first one failed in Lyra. I talk about the original Earth originating in the 8th dimension, being planet Avion. And then it was destroyed by the Dracos. The second Earth, known as Tiamat Earth, the super Earth, was also a failure. And then this Earth, the current Earth, is supposed to be a success. Okay, good question. I guess I went on a rampage there. Yes, Lemuria was located in Hawaii, the heart chakra of Gaia. That is correct. And so what's left of Lemuria are the Hawaiian Islands. I also want to remind you guys that I will be presenting and attending the 2026 Conscious Live Expo this coming February from the 19th to the 21st or 22nd. And my presentation is on a Saturday evening. So if you guys plan on visiting me at the Los Angeles Conscious Live Expo this coming February 2026, please sign up through the link that I provide in the description so that I can get credit for that, for the workshop and for your ticket. And I almost forget to mention all the time now, but I was featured on a magazine called Awakened Souls, where they asked me all kinds of questions. And if you guys want to access that, the link is also in the description. It's called Awakened Souls Magazine, and it's growing fast. Okay. It is the fastest consciousness magazine that is, I guess, growing at the speed of light right now. All right, let's continue here. Next question. When will the med beds be rolled out? Well, as reported today in my presentation, it looks like they are about over 90% done in regards to the elimination of what's left of the dark fleet, which is the off-world cabal, right? So that's probably going to be rolled out in the beginning stages of 2026. Ishmael, can we know if James Rink's soul made a safe transition, not captured? The reason he gave up, because he was fighting the scalar weapons, was because due to his defecting against the MyLab programs and against the SSP, the negative branch that was using him, and of course, doing what he was doing, putting together conferences, interviewing people like myself and others, um, bleeding into his altars. He was teaching people how to reactivate and how to regain their memories. Well, due to that, I believe he was freed. I do believe that his soul was finally freed from the Dark Fleet's grip and is now living a peaceful life on the new Earth. And so, yes, we will be seeing James Rink again. And I just want to thank him for the hero that he was. If someone is RH negative, does that mean that they are a starseed also? Um, I would say absolutely, yeah, because RH negative blood is very rare. Only about 13% of the world population is RH negative, which means that you come from a strain or a bloodline that was apparently uncontaminated. It was uncontaminated by the monkey gene, which is what they call the rhesus monkey protein, right? The Homo erectus gene, which again, 87% of the population have. Will Elon Musk be revealed? Well, if you're referring to the 2.0, no, remember, Elon Musk 2.0 is working for the Alliance. But 1.0 and the cyborg, yes, they will be, just, we could say, malfunctioning. Again, um, when the solar flash takes place, the energy is going to be so intense that for those that are playing the dark role due to their low frequency, they're going to have an internal combustion. They're going to like burst. Okay. So, and that includes all the negative clones. They will be exploded, internal combustion, undergoing internal combustion. That's the right word. All right. So again, somebody's asking me, Ishmael, what about the fact that we cannot observe the curvature of the Earth? Is that not alarming? Countless independent tests. All right. I mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again. Okay. Earth is a multidimensional construct existing on multiple energetic fields. Okay, so depending on the dimension that you perceive the Earth, that will determine how the Earth looks. So from a two-dimensional perspective, right, it's like a sheet, a paper, is only it's two-dimensional, it's flat. From a three-dimensional perspective, is a sphere. From a higher dimensional perspective, as we go into the new Earth, it is going to become more complex. Okay, so it all depends on from which perspective or level of density you perceive it from. So in that regard, yes, Earth is both round and flat because in the two dimension it's flat. In other dimensions, it's a sphere, and in even higher dimensions, it's a strata of different energy lines and complicated structures. That's the best way to describe it. So again, it all depends on the level of perception. Okay. Will the Earth have any days of darkness? Well, once we shift into the new Earth, there will be no more dark ages. There will be no more dark ages. The entire cycle of the wheel of what they called going into a golden age and then falling into a dark age, going into the golden age. Well, the Earth has already completed 52 cycles of that, 52 26,000 year cycles. And so now the Earth is going to be on a steady upward ascension cycle. No more dropping back into dark ages. So that is the great news. And a lot of this has to do with the fullness of time that we're living in, which is what they call the final dispensation. I want to thank Phoenix Rising 1111. Thank you so much, sister, for being here. She gave me a super chat. Andromeda and music to my ears. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, there's a lot of great spiritual music out there, guys, that you guys could download. That's going to like help you guys, get into the right vibration, align with your galactic self, your higher self, and all that. So, oh, the YouTube playlist. Yeah. Okay. Um, All right, another question. My late husband, while in the Navy in the North Atlantic, observed the curvature of the Earth. All right, so again, some people are perceiving it from a three-dimensional perspective. So you do see the curvature. All right, so it all depends on again from which dimension you perceive the Earth. He said the curvature is definitely there. Okay, well that proves the third dimensional sphere that the Earth is. What about the arcs located all over the planet? When will they be made available? Well, the hybrid, I guess they're called Nordics, the hybrid Nordics, which were negative, who apparently had a base and a settlement within the inner Earth, have been neutralized from taking possession of those space arcs. And this happened recently, about 2 months ago, and I think I did report on that. So yes, for a while there, from 2022, ever since Enki infiltrated the Federation, to 2025 early, they were overrun by the hybrid Nordics. But now, with the arrival of the Ormas and the Three Eye Atlas and the entire Star Nation fleets, those space arcs have been the hybrid Nordics have been eliminated from the space arcs, and they will be returning those space arcs back to humanity. So those are going to be for us to use. So many good questions here tonight. I do want to welcome Jesus the Christ, firstborn of heaven, our eldest brother, Michael the archangel, overseer of the 12 inclusion ray of power and the 12 creation, my books, and my 2025 Conscious Life Expo award that I won thanks to you guys. Again, for all my new subscribers, thank you guys so much for being here and for partaking in this great unfolding. More questions. Yes, guys, please remember to put out all your questions in capital letters so that I could bypass the chat. Is 528 hertz DNA repair? Absolutely. Question from Susan Wren. Yes, I do believe so. Ish, have you heard of the Christ Sophia Alliance? This is a question from Ricky Lee 1111. Hey, Ricky Lee, what's up, brother? Yes, I have. In fact, this entire operation at the highest levels of reality, dimensions 10, 11, and 12, is operated by the Christo Sophia Alliance, all right? So the Galactic Alliance, the Metaterrestrials of the Rock Confederacy, the Ormas, the Syrians, the Blue Avians, and all the star nations work under the Christo Sophia Alliance. This is true. I do want to share this. This is from Tariq the Sun. If you are a third guardian type, you will embody here and embrace your higher dimensional sensory here. Your galactic organs and senses will form. That is correct. That is correct. Okay, there are going to be different levels of guardianship when the ascension takes place. And again, one of the reasons why 3i Atlas is here is to dismantle the artificial overlay that is concealing the real Earth, the organic Earth. All right, so somebody's asking me, Ishmael, if all the negative beings are going to be exterminated by the Flash, who will be going to the negative timeline? Okay, the best way to describe this is um, the billionaires that are working for the negative technocratic dystopia have already created a version of Earth through cybernetics, nanotechnology, and artificial intelligence, right? By mimicking this reality and then, of course, copying it into the phantom Earth, which is, again, a lower matrix existing in a digital atmosphere, a digital realm. They have already created that. Okay, so the negative timeline is running concurrently with the positive timeline, which means that when the solar flash takes place, the negative timeline, which already exists, right? Because the future is already happening with the presence, right? There is no past, present, and future. It's all existing concurrently, is going to collapse at the end of the millennium. So, to answer your question, yes, the negative timeline is already operational, but again, due to the fact that all time is happening all the time, if that makes any sense. Good question, though. So yeah, Perez 25 will get you that immuno discount, either 3 for the price of 2 or 5 for the price of 3. I will go for 5 for the price of 3. That's the best deal right now. And again, for Christmas, perfect gift of high health. Okay, so somebody's saying, I smell flowers from Eden Terra all the time. Well, that means that you are already bleeding into the new Earth Terra, dimensions 4, 5, and 6. Why can an exact date be set for the solar flash, Ishmael? Because it has to happen like a thief in the night. Nobody knows the time or the date but God, the big G, God. Okay. So it's supposed to happen by surprise. But yeah, we could all be intuitive about it and kind of feel when it's coming. We could tap into the energies. And as more CMEs intensify, we know that we are near. Okay. So it's always best to be prepared. Good question, though. Hi, Ish. Recently, I ran into reptilians and they speak to me telepathically. They sent chills down my spine. Are they good to humans? If you are getting chills down your spine, chances are is that those are the negative reptilians. Okay. I was informed that there is a small group of reptilians that defected against the Orion Empire or Draconian Empire and have been working with the positives or the alliance for in the liberation of the earth, but that's a small number. And I was also told that there was an ancient group of extraterrestrial known as the Raptors, and the Raptors are actually good, and they're also helping in the liberation of the earth, and they are different than the Draconians. But if you are getting chills down your spine as a result of these telepathic messages, I would say to protect yourself and to shut that down, okay? Because it sounds pretty negative, my friend. What will happen after 1,000 years of peace? The final war against Omega Metatron, the Ahriman, the AI God, the Antichrist, whatever you want to call him. That's what's going to be happening. Yeah, the kittens are playing. You guys could hear them in the background, huh? They are playing with their new toys that we got for them today. Oh wow, I've been broadcasting for almost 2 hours. Okay, guys, two more questions. Two more questions. What role might I serve in for humanity going forward as a musician after the Flash? Well, one of the things that I mentioned is that whatever you're good at, right, wherever you excel, your talents, that's how you're going to contribute to the greater whole. Okay, you're going to be living, following your bliss. You're going to be living your full potential. So if you are a musician by nature, if that's your skill, then yes, in the new earth you will be a musician. Okay, the new earth is going to be very physical. Okay, it's going to be we're going to have all the arts there, music, theater, but it's all going to be designed to elevate human consciousness. Okay, it's all going to be designed to uplift humanity without the darkness. Okay, so the new earth is going to be amazing. That's a reality where everyone's going to be living their life's desires, their passion, um, with total peace and happiness. Will 2026 be a good year for crypto? XRP, yes. Only crypto that is backed by precious metals. Bitcoin and other non precious metals backed crypto will collapse with the rest of the Swiss bank or will be obliterated, outdated with the rest of the Swiss bank. And that's already in progress. So many good questions. Okay, one more question. We are at the top of the 2 hours here. That's what happens when I'm off for a week. I have extra intel to share. It all piles up, guys, but you guys need to know. And again, don't forget to, for those that have never taken courses with me, one of the benefits of taking a class with me is that for 2 hours, for only 2 weekends now, not four anymore, you're going to have an ability to interact with me as I teach you the classes. And I do have different levels of ascension and not to mention our cosmic origin, breaking down the entire cosmic infrastructure, the cosmic history going back to 900 billion years. It's mind blowing. So, one last question, and then I am going to go have some food because my stomach is telling me it's time to feed this avatar. Yes, I know I can hear you. Yes, guys, I do talk to my organs, okay? I am in tune with my body. Um, do you need a laptop for your classes? No, you could do it from your iPhone or Galaxy. What you do is when you sign up for my classes, you get a responded email. You scroll all the way down, and then there's the Zoom link for when the class begins. And yeah, right now all my classes are cheap, guys. Okay, $100, $100 for 4 hours of content of amazing, educational, high-level, metaphysical, cosmological, galactic information. All right, with that have said, I hope you guys all have a beautiful rest of your evening. Um, don't forget to share this with as many people as possible. And I do believe that at the end of the live, the hype feature is available. That also helps the algorithm reach more people. And so, thank you guys so much once again for being here. May the God Force be with you all. And I will see you guys in 2 nights for another update. Bye, guys.